Young Guns Roadshow Manager, Deputy Speaker, and Quezon Representative David J.J. Suarez. And of course, the Young Guns members, puro Young Guns pala tayo this morning. House Assistant Majority Leader and La Union 1st District Representative Paulo Ortega, the PIP. Assistant Majority Leader and Lanao del Sur 1st District Representative Sia Alonto Adjong. Assistant Majority Leader and ako Bicol Party List Representative Raul Angelo Gil Bongalon, and Davao Oriental 2nd District Representative Chino Miguel D. Almario. Sir, we invite you for your short opening remarks.
Differ according to age. Anyway, thank you so much to our partners and friends in media sa pagkakataon na muli namin po kayo makasama sa araw ng Miyerkules. We will continue to work hard on our last day before we go on break. And we want to thank everybody, especially the media, for being our partners in making sure that the proper information and the proper message about what's going on with matters of the House is being relayed to our brothers and sisters here in the country. At muli, nandito po kami upang sagutin ang ilan sa mga katanungan at paglilinaw na nais nyo pong malaman tungkol po sa Kongreso. Kaya maraming salamat.
Good morning. It's our last day of session, and I'm very much parang mamimiss ko tong ganito kasi medyo magbe-break tayo. But I would like to take this time to greet, of course, yung mga ka-district ko naman saka yung province namin na imbaga aldaw tayo amin dito. First District in Probinsya ti La Union, mangnamnama kayong tiararamidan mitoy kat pagsiyaatan amin sanla dito'y probinsya nga La Union bati entero nga lawlaw ti Pilipinas. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Marina Aldaw sa Gabos, and it's happy to be back here and be seated with this gentleman, and looking forward for a fruitful discussion this morning. Thank you.
Maayong buntag kadatong tanan, and again, it's a pleasure to be part of this panel for this morning, and hopefully we can answer your questions, no matter how easy. But yes, looking forward to a fruitful dialogue and discussion with you guys. No, again, you can rest on us as members of the House to inform you and be transparent with you in everything that we do and everything that we aspire for the country. So again, dagang salamat, maayong buntag kadatong tanan.
Assalamualaikum, mapiyaka pipitar kanulangon. Again, I'm happy to be back. I'm honored to be sitting alongside some of the finest members of the 19th Congress, especially DSJJ, our roadshow manager. Again, I'm very happy to be here, and I look forward to a positive engagement and discussions later on. Just want to greet my fellow Muslim brothers and sisters a happy Ramadan.
Thank you, sirs. May we hear the first question from Isa Bendaño Omali from GMA-DCWB.
Hello po, magandang umaga. I have 2 questions lang naman. First question po kay DS Suarez. Ngayon po na huling araw ng session before ng Holy Week break, ano po yung mga aasahan natin? Ano po yung mga particular na House bills or resolutions na pagtitibayin po today? Thank you po.
Well, unang-una, I'd like to congratulate Speaker Martin Romualdez and the members of the 19th Congress for the swift approval of all legislative agendas asked and requested of us by the executive. Pagdating po sa mga LEDAC priority measures at pagdating po sa mga SONA priority measures, Lahat po ito napagtuunan ng pansin at naaprubahan na po ng mababang kapulungan. Pagdating po sa mga kinikailangan pa po namin maaprubahan, ilan po sa mga highlights for today will be the approval of RBH 7 on third and final reading. At saka number 2, something very close to my heart dahil ako po yung nag-deliver ng privilege speech tungkol dito nung nakaraang taon, yung tungkol po sa SMNI. At maliban din po doon, we still have a number of House measures that need to be approved on third and final reading before we go on break. As you have noticed, the past 2 weeks have been very busy dito po sa House of Representatives pagdating po sa pag-a-address po namin sa mga national bills and also local bills that need appropriate action by Congress. So, yun po yung mga highlights natin for Wednesday.
Second question pa for everyone na rin po pwede pong sumagot. Si US State Secretary Anthony Blinken po ay bumisita sa Pilipinas. Nakausap po niya si President Marcos Jr. and he reaffirmed yung ironclad support and commitment na tutulungan po ng US ang Philippines sa gitna po ng tension sa West Philippine Sea. Your thoughts lang po. Thank you.
For me, that's a good sign, no? We have seen the president visit other countries. Para ang dating po naman, hindi lang po project fishing, investment fishing, but of course, the president is doing his job in terms of course, strengthening our ties with our allies. And this is a practice not only of the country, but other countries as well. So, malaking bagay po na meron po tayong ganong commitment kasi nakikita po natin na hindi nag-iisa ang Pilipinas. Maraming salamat.
Well, we've been asserting our rights, our sovereignty and territorial integrity over the West Philippine Sea, and any support to push further that assertion is a welcome and positive development, especially coming from the longest ally of the Philippines, which is the United States of America. It only reaffirms the commitment of our allies in the West to make sure that the Philippines' territorial integrity and sovereignty is respected, and the Philippines, in geographical location in the ASEAN and in the Pacific, is both strategical and logical, strategically important in the interest of the United States in keeping regional stability intact. So I guess tama nga po yung sinabi ni Congressman Pao na ang ating presidente has been very vocal both in his actions and his words in trying to protect the country. Not even a single inch of our territory will he surrender. And that is actually a moral booster for this administration, and as well as a support, no, for the Philippines to really impose its territorial integrity in the region.
So I'd just like to add on a little bit, no? I think the fact that there is a country that highly supports, and by the term ironclad, highlights also the amount of trust that our allies have put in us as well. And this would not have been possible without the efforts of everyone in the administration, especially to our president, who has been tirelessly looking for connections, for allies, and also enhancing them in the meantime. And we'd like to thank as well the efforts now of the administration. This would not have been possible without that. And so far, us here in the Congress, if there is any need for us to supplement and to further enhance the ties through legislation, then we'd be more than happy to do so as well.
Let me add on the statements made by my colleagues. Of course, we greatly appreciate the statement by Secretary Blinken in reaffirming his commitment in defending the Philippines with respect to the sovereignty and the territorial integrity. This message of commitment and reaffirmation sends a powerful message that there is solidarity and support. In other words, we stand united, no, in safeguarding regional peace and security. Thank you.
Para lang madagdagan ko yung mga nabanggit ng aking mga minamanage na young guns. Unang-una ho ay maganda po ito dahil pinakikita po nito na napakatibay po at napakaganda ng relasyon ng Pilipinas at ng Amerika. At bilang pagpapakita po nito ay yung ironclad commitment is to show that they support Philippine sovereignty, especially in what is happening in the West Philippine Sea and in certain parts of our country. Number two, it's also a positive development dahil other than the recent visit of Secretary Blinken, alam po natin noong nakaraang linggo, meron din pong trade mission ang bumisita galing sa US headed by the US Secretary of Commerce, if I'm not mistaken. At doon nagpakita din sila ng suporta sa pamamagitan ng pledges in the billions of dollars. So, if we put both together, we see that the partnership and the relationship of the U.S. and the country is in an all-time high when it comes to security and when it comes to economy. And if I'm not mistaken, in the next month, magkakaroon po ng trilateral meetings sa U.S. to be attended by our President and Japan and the U.S. And again, they will talk about issues that concern the three nations. So this indeed is a positive development para po sa ating lahat. And we look forward to seeing more U.S. investors coming into the country. And at the same time, makita din po natin na mapangalagaan din po natin yung kapakanan ng ating mga Pilipino at mga OFWs na nagtatrabaho sa Amerika. Na alam naman po natin na napakarami po nila doon. So, yun po. Maraming salamat.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Isa. Let us recognize Tina Panganiban Perez of GMA 7.
Good morning po, sirs. Majority Leader Dalipe has mentioned the option of bringing RBH 7 to the COMELEC after it is passed on third reading here, even without Senate action on RBH 6. Your stand po, sirs.
Thank you, ma'am. Of course, the stand of the ideal setup is dumaan po sa Kongreso muna. Yun po ang ninanais namin, of course, para po it's also a time to reconnect with the Senate. So, for me, personally, gusto po natin na dumaan po sa dating proseso at titignan po natin kung paano magre-responde ang Senate.
Yeah, with relation to the statements of Majority Leader Manix Dalipe, ito po kasing tinatahak natin is uncharted waters. Especially we are in a very advanced state of amending our constitution. Advanced because it is in the first time in our nation's history that the Senate is actually tackling constitutional amendments with RBH 6 at tayo with RBH 7. So, yung statements ni Congressman Manix Dalipe echo yung nakasulat sa konstitusyon na pagkatapos po with 3/4 vote, COMELEC being the rightful agency will have to conduct a plebiscite. But with the directive of our speaker, and siguro ito na rin ang pinakamagandang at prudent na daan dahil nga sa maaaring mga constitutional challenges na haharapin ng RBH 6 at ng RBH 7 na alam ko may ilang mga sektor na naghahanda na, ang mas magandang paraan para sa ating lahat ay i-maximize po natin itong Holy Week break na makapag-usap yung leadership ng House at leadership ng Senate and to reconcile on a definitive path kung paano po natin i-approach at ihahakbang ang RBH 6 at RBH 7 papunta po sa COMELEC para makarating sa plebisito. Dahil kung ano man ang pag-usapan ng Senado at ng Kongreso, dapat po natin ibigay ang kapangyarihan sa tao para makapagdesisyon kung ano po ang nararapat para sa ating bansa. hindi po dapat natin nakawin ang pagkakataong ito sa mamamayang Pilipino. So yun po yung tema ng statements ni Majority Leader Manix Dalipe. But again, to avoid any constitutional issues and challenges that it will eventually face, it's better for us to work as a united house with Congress and Senate working hand in hand.
Basically, ang the House of Representatives naman for the past several months, very strong and very consistent po yung ating messaging sa ating taong bayan na we really want to push for the RBH 7. We really want to revisit the Constitution, amend the restrictive economic provisions para po medyo umunlad ang ating bansa. There are so many opportunities outside that we might want to hold on to. Like, for example, yung mga opportunities that other ASEAN countries are enjoying, Indonesia, Vietnam, Singapore, and etc. Doon naman po sa what are the ways in order for us to push RBH 7? There are so many options po na gusto din ho namin i-explore. Una, of course, we want the Senate to really act on the promise to the President. Since the time that this new administration come into office, nagkaroon po ng several meetings ang leadership of the House and the Senate with the President reassuring their pledges na kailangan talagang suportahan ang ating administrasyon para palawakin pa yung economic provisions ng ating bansa. And the House of Representatives has delivered that promise. We just want that the Senate also to do their share, part of the bargain, so that we can push this as what the Constitution says. But since what we are experiencing right now and what we are seeing, there's been a delay. Yung original po na timeline natin, which is to pass the resolution of both houses, I think the original timeline is before the Lenten break. Now, ito po yung last day natin, and hindi pa ho sila natatapos sa Senado. So, of course, as part of our commitment and our seriousness in pushing for economic chacha that would benefit not only certain sections in our society but the whole of the country, we are open to any options. And we are trying to explore these options legally within the framework of the Constitution as what the Constitution says, because we are very conscious of what the Constitution says and the formulation of the Constitution insofar as voting of both houses. Ang sinabi naman po doon, may katabi akong lawyer, baka i-coach niya ako mamaya, sinabi talaga doon is 3/4 votes of all members of Congress. They can already transmit that. Now, tama nga po yung sinabi ni DS, JJ, na should there be any reaction that may come from the other chamber na hindi po siya sang-ayon doon sa stand ng ating majority leader, that would be that's a good riddance for me, because that would open up an opportunity for the courts to really decide on and spell out ano ba talaga ang limits ng pagbotohan. Ito ba to independently separate from each other, or can one chamber of Congress do their share and then later on the other chamber to follow suit? It's a good opportunity for the courts to really lay down their decision kung meron pong ganong klaseng event, should there be event that the House so decides to really push what the majority leader has said previously po.
Well, to add, what is crucial here is that the Senate and the House of Representatives should come together to discuss the possible implications of RBH 6 and RBH 7. Namanggit po kanina ni Deputy Speaker J.J. Suarez that this Holy Week break, we should take advantage of this time to reflect on the importance of having a united stand and a collaborative effort in shaping our future's economy. So, ultimately, inaasahan naman natin that this will face a constitutional challenge, and that is being expected in this kind of situation. But what is important here is that the legislative department, the Congress of the Philippines, has a united stand. Anyway, ang bottom line po dito is that I'm asking the Senate leadership not to cooperate and to make good of its commitment to deliver their commitment to this administration to amend the restrictive economic provisions of the 1987 Constitution.
Halos inubos na ata nila lahat, no? But to at least on a personal observation, it is one thing to say what you would want the people to hear, and it's another as well to make do with what you have committed, especially in public. And I would just also I'd like to join my fellow colleagues in calling out also on the Senate, at least to show the people on what a united Congress can do for the country. The goal is simply the goal has always been the same. No, it's just different translations, but the goal is for the Philippines to flourish further, to improve further. So one of the ways that we find that would help improve the Philippines is through the RBH 6 and RBH 7. So that being said, if ever that this pushes through, then the people can and will see true progress happen because of this as well. So lahat naman nasabi na ng colleagues ko. Pero let's just hope that, both houses would come together to at least give the people a taste of what a truly united Congress can deliver to the country.
Sir, I have another question. Several lawyers asked the Supreme Court yesterday to direct the House and the Senate to enact a law against political dynasties. Nasa Constitution daw po ito, pero 37 years na wala pa ring batas. Your position po.
The group of lawyers went to the Supreme Court and asking to compel Congress to enact anti-dynasty law. So, we have a provision under the 1987 Constitution which states that the state shall guarantee equal opportunities for public service and prohibit political dynasties as may be defined by law. And as we all know, the power to legislate laws is vested in Congress. So I don't think that a group of individuals or even a group of lawyers can ask the Supreme Court to compel us. It is incumbent upon the members of the legislative body to pass a law with respect to the political dynasty provision. Now, with respect to the political dynasty law, what we have right now is the SK Reform Bill. Meron po doon na mga anti-dynasty provision. And having said that, siguro yun po yung pwede natin tignan, kung this will work in the Philippine setting. And again, it is incumbent upon the members of the legislative body to pass and act a bill prohibiting dynasty in the public service. Thank you.
Yeah. Ako naman in all practicality, alam mo, napakatalino po talaga at nag-iba na rin po yung pamamaraan at pag-iisip at decision-making process ng electorate natin sa pagpili ng mga taong nagnanais maglingkod sa ating bansa. So, when it comes to that, I think the Filipino people can properly decide who and who are not incapable of doing that job. And let's not forget, we always put ourselves through a referendum when we seek re-election. So this will be the perfect place to find out whether or not you're performing below or above average, or whether or not ninanais pa ng constituency mong magpatuloy ka sa paglilingkod mo. We've seen dynasties come and go in Philippine history and in Philippine politics. So I think what's important for us now is to focus on how we can further enhance yung number one, yung efficiency ng mga programs and projects na pinatutupad ng ating ahensya at ng ating gobyerno. Ipakita din po natin na meron po talagang mas magandang bukas na nag-aantay para sa Pilipinas. That's why ipinaglalaban po namin itong RB 87 na talagang may patupad na. So, with regards to the call of some lawyers to the SC, well, that is their right, that is their duty, and whatever the SC will decide on that, siguro antay na lang namin yon pag dumating po sa Kongreso yon. So, but until such time, purely speculative, and we will just wait for the efforts that the SC will take.
Sasagot na ba ako? Hindi. Again, to echo the statements of my fellow members, wala naman po talagang direktang yung term na political dynasty kasi nag-e-elect po tayo. So I'd rather have the calling of political democracies kasi naman po lahat naman po ng eleksyon, lahat po tumatakbo. May check and balances naman po lahat yan. Sabi nga ni Kong JJ, pag hindi ka gusto ng tao, hindi ka talaga nila iboboto. Lalo ngayon, this is the era of different kinds of media. Social media, traditional media, new media. People can see if you're really working. Nakikita po ng tao kung ano yung output natin. And in terms of the group of lawyers which are going to file, antayin po natin yon. And of course, ang Kongreso naman po, you have seen it even with the RBH. Napaka-open po ng Kongreso in terms of dialogues, mga iba-ibang debates. So, wina-welcome po natin yon. Thank you.
Ako, naniniwala po ako sa democratic process. The many options we have, the better. Ganun po yung paniniwala ko eh. I just don't find it appealing to me personally that you would disqualify a certain individual merely on the basis of blood relation. Pangalawa po, sa akin, yung kanina na they appeal to the Supreme Court, I think hindi po ako tayo abogado. But what I understand is that the courts can only decide on matters na merong first controversy, meron pong na-files before their sala, and meron pong legal questions, no? But in this case, it's actually a question of the Constitution's provision having required by the Constitution, that specific provision for Congress to pass an enabling law. Ako, basis ko lang po, ang sa akin is, marami po tayong in many instances and in the past several elections that we had. Mayroon pong mga magkakaapelido diyan na hindi naman ho sila na-sustain. Pangalawa, in our case, no, I want to understand where I'm coming from, and this might come for us as a nuance, no. Sa area ko po in the BARM, marami pong magkakalaban diyan sa barangay, mayor, na magkakaapelido. Magkakaapelido sila. Magkapatid, minsan minsan at some cases mag-ama, mag-ano. So if we disqualify on the basis of that, wala na pong kandidato sa amin. So mauubos po, 'di ba? So why limit the space for the electorate to choose from? Ako mas naniniwala ko sa marami pong options, mas mabuti po sa ating demokrasya at sa ating electorate. Ang pinakakailangan lang po naman talaga is yung informed decision ng electorate, which I believe, if you ask me, I would rather revisit our political system. Party system in the country. Have it matured, magkaroon ng convention, kung sino yung mananalo sa convention based on merits, and the members of that party would vote like what they're doing in the United States, and in Malaysia, and many other countries. I would rather have that than to limit the space for the electorate to choose. Ang election po is not, sabi nga po ni DSJJ, hindi lang ho yan referendum. It is a dictation of what would happen in the future. Let us not remove that right from our electorate.
Yeah, just on a final note on that, no. Meron din kasing argument na nagsasabi, paano ba nabubuo yung mga dynasties? And one reason why dynasties are formed is because the existence of term limits. 'Di ba? Pag natapos na yung term ng isa, syempre, dahil nakasaad yun sa batas, ang ninanais nung nag-umpisa, may pagpatuloy ito. Kaya tumatakbo yung mga kamag-anak. So, tama po yung sinabi ni Congressman Adjong. If we really want to achieve reform, we need to look at the whole political reform agenda. And I think that is just one aspect that we need to focus on. We also need to look at how to strengthen our political parties. We also need to revisit also, again, itong ang sinasabi nyo, itong mga political dynasties. We also need to revisit other aspects in our political law that affect and see how we can further improve when it comes to electing better statesmen, better representatives, better mayors, better governors, better senators, and of course, better, for the whole country.
I'm not a lawyer, so I can't really give inputs specifically on how the law provides for this. However, I'd like to share at least an insight that resonates very personally, and this is with regards to public acceptability. I think that in every area in the Philippines, everybody knows who their candidates are. Kasi nga, lokal ang mga kandidato usually. Or sometimes in the case of national representations, there are other sectors that also resonate with the candidates that they choose. So, that being said, we are looking into how the people trust those that are willing to run for a position in government. And you've seen, as what JJ said earlier, you've seen political dynasties come and go. And this is evidence in itself of how the people choose their leaders. Now, to modify or to try to change at least, or to increase limitations on who can run, no matter how deserving, might be something that needs further study, as what was mentioned by my colleagues earlier. So again, political dynasties, with regards to, their appeal to, the lawyers' appeal to the SC would merit additional studies because, number one, we don't want to take away the power of choice from the people. It is ultimately the choice of the locality, of the people of the Philippines, on who they trust to run for office, who they trust to lead in their areas, and of course, who to trust in trying to make their lives better for the people. So, yun lang.
Thank you, sirs. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Kenneth. Okay. Thank you, Kenneth. Last two questions from another question. Sige, go ahead.
Last question na po. About naman sa LEDAC. So, it's good to hear nga na most LEDAC bills nga ay pass na sa House. Pero, do you think po ba that Congress, both chambers of Congress, still has enough time to pass nga yung 24 priority bills discussed yesterday? Especially na anticipated na nga yung 2025 midterm elections. Paano makaka-apekto yung campaign period sa legislative work ng measures?
Well, I was there in the LEDAC. Well, from the position of, well, I'd like to, of course, welcome our Senior Deputy Speaker, Dong Gonzales. Siguro he'd want to join us kasi kasama din namin siya sa LEDAC kahapon. In fact, si Senior Deputy Speaker, siya po yung author ng Procurement Law. Isa po ito sa prioritize ng ating mahal na Pangulong Bongbong Marcos na dapat maipasa na. Pagdating po sa legislative agenda, SONA priorities, tulad ng sinabi ko, dito po sa House of Representatives under the leadership of Speaker Martin Romualdez, we've completed it 100%. Advance pa nga po kami. No back subjects. At yung ilan na hinihingi pa ng NEDA, na-aprobahan na po namin to sa Kongreso. So, sa palagay naman po namin, hindi magiging dahilan ang kampanyahan para maapektuhan yung legislative efficiency namin dito sa Kongreso dahil we've already taken that into consideration when it comes to the bills, resolutions, and laws that needs to be passed. So, naka-timetable naman po yan at syempre, may time on target pong siniset ang ating Majority Leader Manix Dalipe pagdating sa passage ng mga batas na ito. Siguro, upang mas mabigyan po tayo ng further development on the procurement law, siguro mabigyan po natin ng pagkakataon our Senior Deputy Speaker, Dong Gonzales, para sa updates on the procurement law na ginawang urgent ng ating mahal na Pangulo.
Well, thank you, Deputy Speaker Jay, at sa aking mga kasama dito sa Kongreso. Pinilit ko makahabol at eksakto ang procurement law ang pinag-usapan. Ako po ang principal author ng amendment of the, well, I'm calling this as Bagong Pilipinas Government Procurement Act. At ito, this is the amendment of Republic Act 9184. So yung salient points po nito, parang very friendly na po yung ating procurement. So from 120 days, pwede na po tayong mga 27 days, starting from the advertisement up to the notice of award, notice to proceed, and signing of contract, and one publication only. Number two, we have strengthened the planning department of each agencies para po mapalakas po natin yun. Kasi it emanates everything on the planning department. So to speak, DOTR, Department of Public Works. Kung wala kang plano, kung wala kang BOQ, kung wala kang tinatawag na DIED, yung DIED na tinatawag is Detailed Architectural Engineering Design. So kung wala ka po nun, hindi ka pwedeng mag-bid. Kahit 2 weeks lang po yun, hindi mo pwedeng i-award yung project kung wala kang documents, wala kang bill of quantities, wala kang program of works. Yun po ang ni-strengthen ko ngayon. Number 3, pinapaalis ko na po yung post-audit, yung post-qualification para po sana mabilis na lahat. Kasi hindi ka naman pwedeng ma-qualify sa isang subasta kung hindi ka pre-qualified at lehitimong negosyante or contractor. So, lahat-lahat, the summation of that from day 1 up to the final contract and notice to proceed. So, nasa 27 days na lang po. Pwede na po tayo mag-start. And the bottleneck, yun na ang sinasabi ko na yung planning department. Yung planning department po kasi, in the likes of Department of Public Roads and Highways, we need 15,000 personnel. Material engineer, architect, civil engineer, mechanical engineer, DOTR, ganyan din po. So nag-usap po kami ni Secretary Mina na kailangan kuha pa tayo ng maraming mga technical expertise para matulungan at ma-augment natin dito sa Procurement Act. Kahapon, kausap ko po si Sec Mina, willing naman siya na wag natin biglayin, kung pwede 1/4 muna and then 1/2 para at least hindi mabigla kasi kasama dyan yung Civil Service Commission. Kasi pag kumuha ka ng tao, kailangan plantilyado yan, kailangan may Civil Service Commission yan. So, yung status po ngayon ng Procurement Act, nag-usap po kami ni Senate President Mig Subiri kahapon. Sabi ko, pinakikiusap ko po, hopefully today is the second reading and there are still 2 interpellators in the floor. They are on the process of interpellation. So palagay ko po matatapos po nila itong procurement act ng second reading up to this day. So ang gusto ko po sana, kung po pwede, kaming dalawa ni Sec Mina, ni Speaker, gusto talaga mabilis itong procurement act. Kasi po ito hinahantay na. Judiciary, hinahantay na po to. Executive, hinahantay na po to. So talaga po ito ay napaka-importanting priority measures ng ating Pangulo. Bigyan ko po kayo ng halimbawa. Yung Supreme Court, there are pipeline projects all over the country. Kulang po sila sa courtrooms. Pero hindi po nila mabid kaagad because kailangan ma-amyenda po natin yung ating Republic Act 9184. So, ang sabi po ni si Senate President Biggs na pilitin daw na matapos, it's 100 pages, for second reading today. So yun ang pwede kong may babalita sa inyo, yung procurement. Napaka-importante yung batas ito na priority measure ng ating Pangulo. So yun lang po. So sana po, this break, ang aking objective sana, kahit break po sana tayo, kung mattered reading, pwede po tayong mag-bycam, pero kung they will adopt our version, wala na akong pag-uusapan dito. At lastly, yung tinatawag na sa GPPB, yung TSO, yung Technical Support Office. Ngayon po kasi, ang nakaupo doon is only Executive Director and with Assistant to Directors. So, nag-usap po kami ng DBM with the Chairman on the BICAM. We will amend and we will disagreeing provision na sana i-adapt po natin to. At yung ED na yon magiging Undersecretary at ASEC, Assistant Secretary, but appointed by the President. So yun ang pinapakiusap lang po ng ating Department of Budget and Management at malaking tulong po yun. So yun po, wala na pong pinag-uusapan. Yung 120 days, ginawa po natin ng 60 days, hopefully, sa implementing rules and regulations. So maraming salamat po sa medyo mahaba po ata explanation ko. Salamat po.
Thank you, SDS Dong. Thank you, Kenneth. Last two questions from Marian Enriquez of Channel 5 and Vic Simintak of Net 25. Marian, you're recognized.
Hi, good afternoon po. Itong mga nakaraang araw po, mainit yung debate sa plenaryo tungkol po sa divorce bill. I understand, I recall po si Kong Ortega, natanong na po kayo noong nakaraang Presscon, and you are opposing this bill. You said you will vote against this bill. Pero sa iba po nating mga yes, ano po yung stand nyo po individually, briefly lang, isa-isa, ano po yung stand nyo on divorce bill?
I can't relate, ha? No, pero I think the essence of the bill highlights the protection of any married person to their spouse. And in that light, I think that there is a need to look into what are the ways that we can further protect those who are in unfair or in relationships, in marriages that are detrimental. No, so like say for example, I think kasi the spirit of the bill, we have to understand first that the spirit of the bill is what we need to look into first, and then afterwards we can look into what are the ways or the best ways that we can inject the goal or the intent of what we are trying to achieve. If the intent is to protect those who are in marriages that are not beneficial or detrimental marriages, if they're, let's say, for example, abused, then I think there are ways to look into other revisions of bills. So we can introduce revisions, for example, to the annulment bill. No, so there are many avenues. As somebody who is not married, I cannot say for sure. However, I think it's worth looking into muna even further. No, we already have so many bills in Congress and in the country even. I think that there are many bills that require revisiting rather than to add even more bills then to our existing number of bills.
Well, as somebody who is married twice, I can definitely relate to the issue. Ako, naniniwala kasi ako legislation should go hand in hand with the experience of man. So divorce is just a recognition that there is really a problem. There are cases of bad marriages. No? Ako, pro ako . In fact, I have signified my intent to be a co-author of the bill. Response po ito doon sa yung realistic po nangyayari. Of course, we do not want breakups. That's the last thing that we want. We do not want to have so many divorces. No, if we can salvage a union, why not? But there are something that is beyond resuscitation. No, that is completely dead. Let's admit that. Dito sa Pilipinas, we allow annulment. But ang alam ko, annulment is like pinapawalang bisa yung kasal as if wedding never it has never happened, no? I think we have to recognize that it did happen, but along the way, something came up at hindi nag-work out. Let's be honest about that. That's the problem, and we need to find solution to it. There are so many cases of domestic abuse. Mostly the cause of marriage breakups are because of violence, abuse, and violence at home, domestic abuse. We have to give way for especially women, no, ang mostly the victims. But there are also cases where breakups are caused by the wife abusing the husband, 'di ba? So it's actually it's actually admitting that there is really a problem, no? So ako pag more ako doon, let's if there's a we allow the annulment, why not go full speed and allow divorce? Ako ang perspective po namin, because I come from my own community, we see marriage as a social contract. It's entered into between two consensuous individuals. Anything that breaks that contract, one party can avail of the annulment of a contract. And it's just a social contract. So ako, pabor ako doon because number one, it addresses an issue, the elephant in the room. Number two, it's unhypocritical ba? It's being realistic in admitting that there are cases of bad marriages, which is beyond resuscitation, that the only way for both spouses is to go their separate ways. Bakit mo sila itatali kung wala ng pagmamahal sa bawat isa?
Well, if we have members who are pro and if we have members also that are against, personally, I'm not yet decided, no? Because let's accept the reality that in practice, sa annulment cases po kasi usually yung pong mga mag-asawa lang na may pera ang nakaka-avail nito. And this is limited under the Article 36 of the Family Code, which is the psychological incapacity. And my understanding of absolute divorce is a divorce that is no fault clause, no? Ibig sabihin, upon agreement of the spouses that they will end their marriage, they will go to a court, on a notary public, and that with that document, their marriage is already ended. So that is my understanding of absolute divorce. And that is not divorce, that is not the divorce that is pending in the House of Representatives. And that is why until now hindi pa po ako makapagdesisyon. In fact, I'm still contemplating if whether or not to interpellate also the sponsor to elicit from the sponsors what are their intentions in passing this bill. Dahil pwede naman kasi natin i-lift yung grounds for legal separation, idagdag ho natin doon sa grounds for annulment. Because again, we are limited under Article 36 of the Family Code. That's the only ground that we can use in order to annul our marriages. And so, pinag-aralan pa ho natin, but the reality remains that meron po talagang mga kababayan natin na lalong-lalo na po yung mga mahihirap, nakakulong na lang po doon sa marriage. And hindi na po sila makapag-asawa uli because hindi naman wala silang kakayahan, no, na pumunta sa korte at mag-file ng annulment cases, because let us accept the reality that annulment case is a very expensive case and it's a very long procedure. So those are the matters na binabalanse ko pa. And sooner or later, we will come up with the position on regarding the divorce bill.
Ako naman personally, being a devout Roman Catholic, syempre ang upbringing natin is very conservative. But reality has to come in and step in. That there are really marriages and relationships that don't end in a happy ending. However, what I would rather see siguro dito sa debates are, number one, efforts to strengthen the family. Programs that would support families that stay together. Also, one of my concern is, of course, anong epekto nito sa mga bata. Kung dumating sa punto na magkakaroon ng paghihiwalay ang mag-asawa, ano ang mga mental health issues na maaring harapin ng mga anak? Meron ba tayong proper state intervention na pwedeng maibigay sa kanila? Meron bang mga DSW interventions na handang sumalo sa mga anak na mapapasama sa ganitong sitwasyon? Ilan po ito sa mga agam-agam ko patungkol dito sa issue na to. So, the process and the debates have indeed been enlightening for me as a legislator. And when the time comes for me to decide, I will definitely seek consultation with my constituents on this, kung anong position ng mga taga 2nd District of Quezon patungkol sa usapin ng divorce. At syempre bilang mambabatas at bilang boses nila sa Kamara de Representante, yun din po ang boses at boto na maririnig nila pagdating sa usapin ng divorce.
Thank you. Big Subintak for
Well,
last question.
Ray, pwede ko
Sir,
lang
sorry,
i-add,
sir.
baka makalimutan
Yes,
ko
yes,
lang.
Go ahead, sir.
Kasi yung procurement pala, kahapon nag-usap din. Siguro by May, when we resume on April 29, at palagay ko ma-sign by the President at pinag-usapan po namin ni Senate President Mix yun na may papasa by May. At siguro po before SONA, okay na po yung ating procurement. Thank you po.
Thank you, SDS Dong. Yes, Big, go ahead.
Magandang hapon po. Since today is the last day of the session, and I am the last as the last question, going back to the main agenda of the last day of session, which is the RBH number 7 of the House of Representatives. So I would like to premise my question and point on Article 6 of the Constitution, which is the bicameral system of our legislative department. Mamaya, good as approved na kasi nasa third reading na po kayo. But sa Senate, nasa subcommittee pa lang siya. Then the game plan is to submit the approved RBH 7 diretso na sa COMELEC. And then maghihintay na lang kung mayroong question sa Supreme Court for the constitutional challenge ng action ng Kamara. So my question is, ito ba'y part ng strategy ng House of Representatives to put pressure on the Senate regarding the economic chat-chat? Dahil nauna na kayo sa RBH 7, diretso na sa COMELEC. Kung mayroong question sa Supreme Court, ito ba'y strategy to pressure the Senate para actionan nila din yung kanilang RBH 6?
Let me just clarify the position. No? There's no strategy in place. We were just merely following what is written in the Constitution. But the most prudent action to be taken, at ito na rin po yung directive ng ating Speaker Martin Romualdez, is after we approve it on third and final reading, let's take advantage of the break, kausapin natin yung mga counterparts natin sa Senate para magkaroon tayo ng unified position moving forward. And dito po malalaman natin kung ano po ang magiging hakbang patungkol sa RB 87. Now, when it comes to pressure on the Senate, yes, there is pressure on the Senate dahil tapos na yung version ng House. So, and of course, not only pressure from the House, but siguro yung everyday life at saka yung mga pronouncement ni Presidente patungkol sa economic restrictions that need to be lifted, I think that's enough pressure also for the Senate to work with haste. But of course, that doesn't mean that we cannot respect the legislative process that they have to go through. But of course, this is not a legislative process, but rather the constituent power inherent to us. So, tamang-tama po talaga itong pagkakataon na makakausap at magkikita po yung mga leadership ng Senate at Congress to find the best way forward with regards to RBH 6 and RBH 7.
So clarification ng Congressman Suarez. So after na mag-usap kayo during the break, saka nyo isasabit sa COMELEC or isasabit na sa COMELEC saka kayo mag-uusap?
Mag-uusap muna kami.
Okay.
So mag-uusap muna kami tapos malaman natin kung ano yung proper course. Kasi ang iniiwasan natin dito ay dumami yung mga constitutional challenges. Kasi ngayon pa lang, hindi pa po namin inaaprubahan ito on third and final reading. Ang dami na nagsabi na ang daming constitutional questions that will be raised and that will be addressed and forwarded to the Supreme Court once approved. So what's important for us is to limit all these impediments by having a unified position by the House and by the Senate moving forward. But kami dito sa House, ang nais namin is mangyari ito in the soonest possible time. Huwag naman yung paabuti natin yung plebisito ng kasabay ng midterm elections. Kasi ako personally, ang position ko, hindi po natin pwede mapoliticize ang ating saligang batas. Pangalawa, the Filipino people should properly understand and decide on the Constitution solely, specifically, on that issue and topic alone, and not to be distracted by who's running for what position, who's running for this, anong senators ang pipiliin ko, sino ba itong mga kumakandidato sa mayoral position, governor at congressman, kasi masyado nang magiging magulo ang isip ng Pilipino na dapat kung constitution lang pinag-uusapan natin.
So, one last point doon sa RBH number 7. So, mag-uusap kayo. Tapos, mayroon pa bang enough time? Kasi supposed to be ang original na agreement ninyo before the Lenten break. Tapos na sa House. Sa Senate, paano? Gagahuli. Ang sabi kasi, ang apprehension, majority of the congressmen, particularly the House leadership, yung window of opportunity, nagsasara na siya eh. Kasi aabutan na kayo ng SONA, the deliberation of the budget and the filing of the COC. Yeah. So may time pa.
Parati naman po may oras pa. Hindi naman po kami nawawalan ng pag-asa sa kanila. But sana maunawaan din po nila, tulad ng sinabi mo, lumiliit po yung window of opportunity natin dito. Because once we get to election mode, campaign mode, following the October filing, of course, we're gonna have a new set of Congress, 20th Congress na ang pag-uusapan natin dito. So again, panibagong proseso na naman. So kaya nga kami, ang nais namin sa soonest possible time makapag-usap. Dahil sa pamamagitan ng pag-uusap, doon natin ma-determine yung pinakamabilis at magandang paraan para maisakatuparan po natin yung RBH 6 at RBH 7.
Okay. One last na lang. Congressman Adjong, any update regarding the Hajj bill?
Oh, yes. Ongoing po yung investigation natin sa Hajj 2022 and 2023. And I think there's already a bill that was referred to the Committee on Muslim Affairs to, I believe, to privatize yung Hajj services on that particular component under the RA 9997, which is the Charter for the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos. And this is brought about by the fact that for the several years since 2000, I think since time immemorial, if I can remember, but yung pinaka-problema lumabas in 2022 up to 2023, yung problema doon sa lack of, yung very poor na quality na services na nakukuha ng ating mga Muslim pilgrims every year. Remember, ang Hajj po, it's not just a religious event. You can call that like a convention of many of all over the world of people. Many countries have been sending their delegation to Saudi Arabia from the United States, all over the world, ang mga Muslims. So it's an international event. No, it's a perfect way for also us to show to the world that the Philippines is capable of sending delegates and also capable of providing opportunities for these delegates to mingle with other Muslim countries from other Muslims from other countries. So it's a international event. So ang nakita po natin doon, I guess I'm open to any possible reforms that we may introduce in the
in the Hajj, no? Ang aking nakita lang kasi, yung current setup is that yung NCMF is the one not only regulating but actually enter into contracts with local providers. That should have been that actually aspect should have been given to private entities like traveling agencies, etc. So yun ang nakikita ko kasi if you sabi ko nga ni Boss JJ, you can't do regulation at the same time ikaw yung mag-enter into a direct business operation, di ba? So you have to be the regulator and then allow private entities to come in and play around. But you only have to regulate. So I'm open to that. But I would like to see first whether how can the NCMF as the official agency of the government to Saudi Arabia during Hajj season be able to at least ma-regulate niya yung and ma-designate niya at ma-certify niya yung mga legitimate traveling agencies because we also do not want this ma-expose and maybe ma-abuse ng mga other elements na gagawin itong paraan platform for them to send mga illegal recruitments etc. So gusto rin natin meron certain regulation at the same time to better the service during Hajj. So yes, I'm open to any possible amendments to the NCMF charter, and at the same time, I'm also open to the possibility of privatizing the Hajj services.
Thank you, Vic. To our honorable House leaders, if you have any short closing statements, please share it with us.
Thank you, mga kaibigan natin sa media. At least nakahabol po ako. At least nasabi ko po sa inyo yung Procurement Act. Maraming salamat po. Masasabi ko lang po para yung ating absorptive capacity gumanda naman. Yung mga nanonood na nasa Saudi Arabia, nasa abroad, minsan ang objective nila magpagawa ng bahay. Minsan may naipon na silang pera, hindi sila makagalaw. Why? Kasi okay, gusto kong magpagawa ng bahay. Pero nandiyan yung pera hindi nagagalaw kasi wala silang plano. So this is yung rationale ng aking sinasabi. Kahit may pera tayo, maamienda natin yung Constitution. Maamienda natin yung Procurement Act. Kung wala tayong, yung sinabi ko kanina, plano, hindi tayo pwedeng umusad. Kaya kailangan po, we have to strengthen those departments as I have told you a while ago. So to all of you, maraming salamat po sa inyo. At sana po makita-kita po tayo muli sa April 29. Thank you po.
I would just like to thank our friends from the media, of course, and I'd like to take this time to greet, of course, ang aming pong city. It's our founding anniversary po ng City of San Fernando. Thank you.
Again, to our media partners and friends, maraming salamat sa pagkakataon na maliwanagan namin kayo sa mga issues na hinaharap ng ating bansa. Binabati ko po yung mga mamamayan ng Segunda Distrito, mga mamamayan ng Lungsod ng Lucena, Sariaya, Candelaria, Chaong, Dolores at San Antonio. Magkikita-kita po tayo at sa lahat ng mga Pilipino na babiyahe ngayon pong Holy Week break, sana ligtas po kayo. Sana mag-enjoy po kayo, but sana wag din po natin hahayaan na lumampas ang pagkakataon na magkaroon din po tayo ng self-reflection, magkaroon din po tayo ng pagkakataon na maintindihan kung ano ba ang kailangan nating gawing maganda para sa ating pamilya, para sa ating bansa. Maliban sa pagdadasal sa ating pamilya, sana isama din po natin sa ating panalangin ang ikagaganda at ikabubuti ng administrasyon ng ating Pangulo at ng bansang Pilipinas. Yun lamang at maraming salamat.
Una sa lahat, magandang hapon and it's nice to engage again with our media partners, mapag-usapan kung ano yung mga importanteng bagay at mapakinggan din po yung punto per punto ng ating position po ng ating mga membro ng Congress, ng House of Representatives at may share po sa inyo yung collective position din po ng mga bagay-bagay patungkol sa mga important na mga issue of the day, no? Especially on the RBH 7 and many others. So it's I'm always glad to have this opportunity to again
discuss these matters with our media partners. And gusto ko lang pong batiin again, alam kong nabati ko na kaninang umaga, pero gusto ko rin pong batiin uli yung ating mga kapatid na mga nananampalataya ng Islam na ng Happy Ramadan po at magandang hapon po sa atin lahat.
Okay, so sayang wala si Kong Jill. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our friends from the media, no, sa lahat ng mga questions ninyo. And we hope that we've answered all your questions to the best, to at least, to the intent, with the intent that you wanted clarification on whatever we have had to offer in terms of our answers. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to greet everyone from my district, mga Bisaya sa Davao Oriental, na mayong hapon kaninyong tanan. And again, as we go into our Holy Week, no, and as well as to our Muslim brothers and sisters in their Ramadan, that friendly reminder to everyone that lahat dapat tayo maging kaibigan sa isa't isa, maging Chino ka man. So again, maraming salamat sa lahat, and have a happy recess din to all. Thank you.
Thank you.